Welcome to Food Talk, where we talk about food, fishing, farming, and all things East End. Today, my guest is the critically acclaimed, legendary Todd Jacobs. Todd, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
Todd, we've known you. I've known you since probably 1994, when you left the American Hotel to open up Tierra Mar. And you know, those are the early days. People maybe have forgotten that you were at the hotel for at least 2 years, and prior to that, you were in the city and you cooked with Daniel Boulud. Tell us about those early days.
The early days, I finished the French Culinary Institute and went to work in French kitchens in New York. I worked for Danielle for a little while, Christian Delouvrier, but I always loved visiting the East End, and I was actually at the American Hotel for 7 years.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Came out here in 1987. To join that team, and ended up spending 7 years there. And that's really where my love of farming and fishing and trying to bring it to the plate
Well,
started.
let's talk about that, because when we would see your menus from Tierra Mar, and bear in mind, folks, this is 95?
94.
94, that's what I thought, 94. We would see organic chicken, for one thing. I think Crescent Farms duck, which was another staple of your menu item. And you would have, maybe you would found some greens somewhere. This is before all these farms were proliferated on the North Fork, like, Satter Farms and even Catapano, perhaps.
No, yeah, long before.
Catapano's been around for a long time. Good, I stand corrected. But we were intrigued by that you were on this, and I think that I might have asked the innocent question, like, so how come you're serving organic chicken? And your response was?
Because that's what I want to eat, and that's what's good
better
for
for you.
the local economy, the local, good for your body and good for everything.
It tastes better.
World. And it tastes
That's
better.
the other thing,
Yes.
It just tastes better. We're about to drink a little DDT-infused coffee. Todd and I were talking about, Todd, tell our listeners and our viewers about organic coffee versus what we're drinking right now, which actually we love, which is Cafe Bustelo, El Sabor de Latino.
After the book Silent Spring came out in the 60s, DDT soon after was outlawed in this country. It was a widely used chemical, sprayed it in trees for caterpillars and among other things. And it was outlawed in this country, but we continued to produce it and export, and much of it goes to South America where they spray it on the coffee.
There you go.
And
Well, I'm up for a little DDT. I think everybody is from time to time. Now, you're at Red Bar, a brasserie
Red Bar
right now,
yeah.
owned by Kirk Bass-Knight.
Yes.
He's a great restaurateur, and he also owns Little Red and Red Catering. You're involved in Red
Correct.
Catering, and you've brought a dish today from Red Bar, which we're going to get to later, but it's a dish that you really just can't take off the menu, right?
yeah, it's a classic and been on the menu, I think, since day one.
What's the name of the dish?
It's an endive salad with Stilton, sherry wine vinaigrette, watercress, and toasted hazelnuts.
Is there anything else on that menu you just kind of can't take off, even if it's your
The chicken,
food?
actually.
The chicken, of course, the chicken.
The chicken with the truffled mushroom risotto, the chicken stuffed with truffles is a classic dish that's probably our most popular dish.
Awesome. So when you, Tierra Mar had an iteration over at the West Hampton Beach and Tennis Hotel. It was renamed as Atlantica. You had a great run there. Rave reviews from the Times and Newsday. I think Smart Money named you one of the best chefs of the Hamptons, if not the best chef of the Hamptons. Anthony Dias Blue has given you critical acclaim. Then you went to Long Beach, where we worked together at briefly at a hotel called the Alegria.
Yes.
And then you came back east, if I'm getting this all right.
Correct.
And you opened up Fresh.
Yeah.
Now, Fresh was a great concept. Tell us about Fresh.
Fresh was a little ahead of its time, maybe. The concept was basically, you know, I took it from a lot of my regular customers who'd come in and order, you know, what's fresh today? What do you have? You know, and people, so many people picking and choosing the vegetables that they wanted and changing dishes. I said, you know what, I'm going to break it all down and make it easy for people to just create the meal that they want to eat. And you know, we had a core following of people that still, you know, I see them all the time in yoga classes. I'm like,
Right.
oh, we miss you. But we brought a little bit of that to Red, and you know, and one of the big changes I made at Red Bar is the answer is yes now to every question, and you know, people get substitutions, and I accommodate vegetarians, and so a lot of my fresh clients have followed me there actually.
Now, just a quick question about Daniel Boulud. When you worked for Boulud, is there any, and there may not be, but is there any takeaway that you have from your early days there from working with him?
Sure. You know, we didn't work together. You know, I didn't work for him for very long. He hired me at the Plaza Athénée at La Régence, where I think that was maybe his first stop in New York, and it was right before he took over as the chef at Le Cirque.
Wow.
So, and yes, I learned a lot from him. That was a time in my career early, just out of cooking school, where I was just kind of absorbing, and
Right.
you know, and the shock of going from cooking school, where I was a hot shot, you know, top of my class, into a French kitchen where it was like, oh my God, you know, I can't even do room service. But sure, there's takeaways, and you know, his food is you know, back then especially, was classic French, and you know, the foundations of cooking, and my cooking, even though it's lightened up and,
Right.
you know, lightened up a lot over the years, the foundations and the cooking principles are still the same.
What would those foundations be, if you can describe it briefly? I mean, when I think of French food, I think of butter.
Yeah, I'm
But-
not afraid to use some butter in my cooking.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
butter's
that's-
got a little salt in it, so that's a flavor enhancer, right?
Yeah, and it's you know, it tastes good.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's also, it's not a bad choice when you're sautéing food.
Right.
From a health perspective also.
So your dedication to organic has been consistent and long-term, and you were awarded the first annual Green Skillet Award by NOFA, which is the Northeast Organic Farmers Association.
Correct, yeah. I worked with them very closely, you know, for years and years. I coordinated a lot of their parties. We did this, you know, their annual fundraisers, and they still do an annual dinner. They did it at Red this year. You know, and it's a small, really close-knit group of people. You know, I think when I first started using organic vegetables, it was the owner of the American Hotel's good friend, Rex Farr, was the first certified organic farm on Long Island way back in the early 90s.
And that, you have to do a lot to be a certified organic farm.
Yes, it's a rigorous process.
Right.
And you know, some people don't get to do it because of things out of their control. I've heard of farmers that, you know, they're next to a vineyard that aerial sprays and they can't get their land certified.
It has nothing to do with them, it's just
Yeah.
their proximity. We had Frank Trentacosta on from Boomy Farms, and I believe he went through the entire process, and it's lengthy, and it's, you're right, if you're next to a plot of land where they're spraying, you're out of luck. Tell me about Long Island Food Experience. This is another group that you're involved in with some great chefs too on Long Island.
That was a lot of fun, getting together with Tommy and, you know, Tom Shodell.
Michael Meehan.
And there's others involved too.
Right.
Blake Verity. And,
Right.
you know, it started as, you know, just we wanted to get together a couple times a year and just celebrate, you know, Long Island. The fact that we were feeling so blessed to be in a place. There's not many places anywhere where you have the farms, the fishing, and the audience to appreciate it all at once.
And if you recall, when did Slow Food East End start? And tell us a little bit about your involvement there, because you're very involved with Slow Food.
Yeah. It's quite a while ago. I don't remember the exact year, but I remember Ted Conklin. You know, when he was one of the founding fathers of the Slow Food, and having worked with him for so long, he approached me, and I had a big venue also, so we did some great things. We kicked off the Edible Garden program at Atlantica at the time. Ted and I collaborated on that event, which was a lot of fun. Sherry Alexander was involved.
Sherry's great.
But that was, you know, all these things are great. And slow food's now grown and become a huge movement. And
as it should be. We're just going to change it up a little bit. We were talking before the show. It's something we ask all of our guests. 5 people in the whole history of the world, dead or alive, that you would invite to dinner. And just, you know, who would they be and why?
well, I think Muhammad Ali is number one. And he's
great
always been a hero of mine since I was a young boy, watching him, you know,
Fraser Ali.
fights and Fraser Ali, and just watching the way the man commanded a room, and just he was such a huge, bigger than life figure, and now even appreciate it more looking back on some of the political statements he made, and someone who really stood up for themselves and what they believed in. I really have a lot of respect.
Because
for
he was one of the first guys, really ahead of the curve, to not go to protest the Vietnam War, because he didn't believe in it. He didn't really believe in war. Then he also converted to Islam, changed his name, which was a huge deal.
Yes.
Because he was Cassius Clay.
Yep. Yep.
And then his personality. So you got Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad
Sorry,
Ali.
we can talk about Ali all day. Look at the Ali show.
Number 2 is Eric Clapton, another
Ah.
idol of mine. I just saw him in concert actually a couple of
did
weeks
you?
ago at the Garden.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
and he's just someone. He's had such an interesting life, all his struggles.
Very
and,
much
and,
so.
you
He's
know,
had some pain.
Yeah, a lot. It's funny. I saw an interview where he talks about, well, I'm very qualified, you know, for a personal level to sing the blues. He's like, from a mechanical level, so, you know, I don't have the mechanics to do it. It's work for me. You know,
Worked for
which I thought,
Clapton, right?
you know, which it doesn't seem so, right? He's
very
just,
talented.
yeah.
All right, so you got Ali and Clapton. Those are 2 good ones. Who's
Yep.
next?
Bernie Sanders,
Oh, nice.
another hero of mine, for sure.
Lovely.
Another man who like stands up for what he believes in, makes a statement, love him or hate him, he's there and he's, you know, he's standing up for what he
Got
believes
3
in.
great conversationalists. Now, who else you got?
And then 2 of my favorite chefs that I think had the most influence on my career, and I actually had the pleasure to meet Paul Bocuse and work with him while I was in cooking school.
Wow.
He came in and I assisted him in a demo, and he taught me some things that day that I've taken with me. You know, just simplicity, but correct cooking technique, and the best ingredients make the best dishes.
You know Doug Gulia from the Plaza
Sure,
Cafe.
sure.
So Doug told me something like this, that you know you're a chef when you can perfectly cook a chicken, a roast chicken. Did anybody ever tell you that, or is that just Dougie?
No one's ever told me that, but I've told that to other people.
Oh, there you go.
And it's something that, you know, that I'm very meticulous about, and it's actually a dish that I've added to the Red Bar menu. We do a whole roasted chicken that's been going crazy. We sell so much chicken anyway, and now we have a second chicken dish that's one of our top sellers. And I'm buying those from, well, actually, the winter I took a break, but we're getting those from North Sea Farms.
Oh, nice.
So it's a real local chicken. It's not organic, but
And it tastes different.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be organic, because it's all about also how the chicken is
I always say
bred.
the best thing is know your farmer.
Right.
You know.
And who are some of your favorite? We still got one more chef, but who are some of your favorite farmers?
Betty and Dale from Sag Harbor. I've been working with them almost as long as Rex Farr. And Rex has gone a different direction. I don't work with him much anymore because he's making wine, organic wine. There's now a Long Island certified organic wine made on Long Island by Rex. But Betty and Dale, he grows 100 different crops. He delivers from he'll start next week probably when he gets back in town, and delivers right through Thanksgiving.
We were going to try to have
100
him on the show
different
too,
crops.
right?
Yeah, we got to come back. with
Yeah,
him, 'cause
okay,
he's
good,
a
we will.
Brilliant man.
Oh, good.
What he does with just a couple of acres of land is incredible.
Maybe we'll have a show maybe in the fall, get you through the summer and all that, because it's crazy to ask.
Well, the fall's the best time anyway.
I know.
We could bring in he'll probably have 100 different crops any given week in the fall.
We'll make a note to the producer, Ellen J. Watson, about this. Now, we've got Paul Bocuse, Muhammad Ali, Bernie Sanders, and Clapton,
Yep.
who's your number 5, the other chef.
Jeremiah Towers.
Oh,
He's another one, you know, just someone who I really idolized, and back from Stars. One of the greatest meals I ever had was at Stars in San Francisco. I think it was 1990 I ate there, and just had an amazing meal. But what really impressed me is I had this amazing meal, and the place was huge. It must have sat 300 people. And the food was just amazing, in an open kitchen. He came to the table. I got up and took a tour of the kitchen with him. You know, he was this huge chef, and I was like a 20-something-year-old chef at the American Hotel, and he treated me like royalty. And I had his cookbook, and not to say that I took dishes directly from his cookbook, but it had a lot of influence and inspired my dishes because, again, it's the simplicity of it.
So maybe you get Bocuse and Towers to do the cooking, and you sit at your own table, right, for a change.
That'd be nice.
We're going to play a little Food Lovers Companion Roulette. Our viewers are familiar with this game, so we're just going to go through the book and see if we can stump the chef. So what is teleme?
I couldn't even guess. I have no idea. You got me. I'm not very good at this.
I am like 17 for 17. I mean, I thought you might get this. So anyway, so teleme
Tell me.
is available mainly in Northern California. Teleme cheese is similar in texture to domestic brie.
Huh, interesting.
And they say that it's 50% milk fat, has a pronounced tangy flavor, and when it's young, teleme's texture is soft and creamy, and as it ages, it becomes runnier and stronger in flavor. Now, by the way, if I was on the other side, I wouldn't get any of these. So, all right, you're very, very, very gracious chef. What did you? Let's just talk a little bit. But what did you bring for us? This is the endive salad, right?
Yeah, it's very simple salad. Endive, watercress. There's toasted hazelnuts, Stilton cheese, crumbled Stilton, which is the blue cheese from England, and a sherry wine vinaigrette.
Nice.
And then the red pear, we're just going to slice that real thin right at the end and do that, you know, to order to each salad.
So as we meditate on this, if you were going to choose the ideal menu for guests, what would be on the menu? I think it'd be some good organic stuff, but tell us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I cook a lot at home as well as in the restaurant. It's kind of odd. Everyone's like, "What do you do on your day off? You're cooking?" But you know, I have a lot of children, and my parents who also live with me, and my sister who lives down the street has 5 of her own. So we're constantly having dinner together, and I'm cooking a lot. And for a lot of people, you know, every Tuesday night I cook for like 15 people on my
Really?
day off. Yeah.
So what's on the menu tonight?
Well, I don't know. I never know. I go to
yeah.
the markets and
Right.
I look and see what's there. You know.
What's your mom's name again?
Ginny.
Jenny. Oh, she's great. Please tell her I said hello.
I will for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. But yeah, we just, you know, a lot of vegetables. I'm big on making everyone eat vegetables, and
Right.
it's hard to get the kids to eat them, you know. And I have to switch it up. You know, I have one daughter that only eats string beans. My son only likes spinach. You know, the older kids are a little better.
Right.
You know, but they like things pretty simple. The roast chicken is always a hit. I could do that every week if I wanted,
Sure,
and everyone
sure.
loves that. But you know, I try to get some fish to the table and get people to eat that. You know.
Is fish safe to eat? It's just, I think some people might have a.
Yes and no. You know, the world's toxic. There's toxins everywhere. There's certain things that are safer than others, and I say it wouldn't be safe to eat any one thing too often. You know, the larger, slower swimming fish, or, you know, older fish have mercury in them, many, because of the way they eat and live, and that there's a lot of mercury in our ocean. So that's a lot of people who eat too much sushi or too much tuna will have that problem.
It's just more like too much.
Right. You need to vary it.
Because our bodies can process toxins and get rid of them.
Yes. And you know, by eating certain things, you know,
Right.
a lot of raw vegetables,
Right, helps
you help that along.
the
that
antioxidants.
process along.
Is there any fish that you just should completely stay away from?
I stay away from farm-raised salmon, except the stuff that they're raising in Scotland. Because there's a couple of different companies now raising a farm-raised organic, it's not recognized that label in this country, but it is there, salmon. So they're not giving any growth hormones, no dyes, no chemicals, no nothing. It costs twice as much as most salmon. It's very expensive, but it is one of the cleanest, best products. In fact, these companies have data showing that it's lower in PCBs than wild Alaskan salmon.
Really?
Because of the pristine water that it's raised in.
Wow.
And because of the, they very large pens. They don't keep a lot of fish in a small, small confinement, and they try and mimic the diet that a salmon would eat in the wild. The beta carotene that the salmon eats counts for its color. The ones they raise in captivity, most of them, they just dye them, feed them dye to get them that color.
So. You got to have your own show, my friend. Let's switch positions.
Sure.
And get you preparing this salad that you just can't take off the menu. So, we've got as ingredients.
We have our endive,
Yep.
which has been sliced for us. And watercress, which is a very great healthy plant to be eating. Very cleansing.
We were talking about diet before the show, and I mean, you look to me like you're more in your late 40s, and you shared that you're 53. And just share with us, in general, some of the things that you do to keep yourself healthy and looking so great.
Eat a lot of raw vegetables, salads and such. I green juice every single day. I practice yoga, Bikram yoga sometimes, and other forms of yoga as well. I think that's a big factor.
But you also mentioned that you don't eat cooked food until the evening.
Yes, cooked food in the evening only, and I think that, that cooked food is like more about enjoyment for me.
Right.
And I get most of the nutrition from the raw foods that I eat during the day, the green juice and so forth. And I really think that that's...
So macadamia nuts?
These are toasted hazelnuts.
Oh, hazelnuts. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Toasted filberts, which are really one of my favorite things.
Looking good, Chef.
Yeah, I love that cherry vinaigrette. And again, this has been on the Red Bar menu for a long time.
Red Bar's about to celebrate 20 years.
20 years, that's amazing.
April 20th. Wow. That's a real accomplishment.
What an accomplishment, really is. And it's been great joining them. Really enjoyed it.
Right, you went there right from fresh, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, they're lucky to have you.
Yeah, it was a really good fit.
Good. Well, that's a good looking salad. Let's enjoy.
All right, cool.
So let's talk about any experiences happen to you in a kitchen that, like, the craziest thing that ever happened to you in a kitchen? You'll either know it right away.
I have a lot of stories.
And you can, the ones that are less
One of the funniest
X-rated.
Funniest things that ever happened, and people say, a lot of my friends, you are the luckiest person in the world. But I'll tell you a couple of stories, and they both happened at off-premise parties that I was cooking. This one in a field in South Hampton, not far from here. We were doing a wedding for 200 plus people, and one of the salad, there was a salad, and I don't recall the exact, it was like an arugula salad with pears, but the bride's mother really didn't like pears, so she asked to have it switched to apples. When my guys were loading the truck, though, they thought, oh, this must be a typo. This salad gets pears, so they loaded pears. So, you know, we always cut the pears at the last minute because we don't want them to get brown. So
Right.
we had already served the first course, and we were on to the salad course, and I go to get the apples, and they're pears. And I start freaking out. I'm screaming, the menu says apples. It's like, yeah, but we always make it with pears. The guys are telling me And I go to the wedding coordinator, and she's like, absolutely not. You can't use pears. The bride's mother hates pears. And I'm like, there's no time to run to the store. And the guy who loaded the truck, I'm ready to kill. And he's like, Chef, wait a minute. He's like, we have a ladder somewhere? There's an apple tree over there.
Get out.
We got a ladder. We climbed up the tree and picked 50 apples and sliced them up.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was really
Because I thought that maybe you would like peeled.
about fresh and local.
Yeah, right? I think you would have peeled the pears and like tried to, oh my God. Oh, that's a good one.
Picked apples out of a tree.
You got a
Happened
ladder.
on the property.
Oh man, oh that's a good one. What if you weren't chef or chef at Red Bar, what would you do? Sometimes the grass is always greener, right? So we think about things that we might.
There's a lot of things, you know, that I've really enjoyed. I mean, I'm a certified personal trainer.
Yeah.
I'm also a certified yoga instructor. You know, and I think that although I haven't taught a yoga class, or maybe one, but I think that I may move in that direction as time goes on, and I don't think I'll stay in the kitchen forever. A couple more years for sure, but
Right.
that I dabble in real estate a little bit. So yeah, these are the things, and then
Pretty cool.
you know, life coaching, and you know, I'm constantly doing that with my 6 children and friends who say,
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to thank you so much for coming today. You are a font of knowledge when it comes to organic and just good, clean living. And to our viewers, I say, cógelo suave, pero cógelo. Take it easy, but take it, and stay positive.